Welcome, baseball fans. Today we're taking a deep dive into the journey of one of the most quietly consistent and uniquely composed players in the modern game. A man who represents the heart of resilience, humility, and pure baseball craftsmanship. This is the story of Alejandro Kirk, the Toronto Blue Jays' unassuming yet vital catcher, whose path to the big leagues has become one of baseball's most inspiring tales. His story isn't built on hype or athletic spectacle. It's built on intelligence, precision, and an unwavering devotion to mastering the game he loves. Born in Tijuana, Mexico, in 1998, Kirk's baseball story began far away from the spotlight, in a city that pulses with passion for the sport. Baseball in Mexico isn't just entertainment. It's community, tradition, and pride passed down from generation to generation. For Kirk, that connection started with his father, Juan Manuel Kirk, who recognized his son's natural understanding of the game early on. Under his father's guidance, Alejandro grew up with a bat in his hands and a purpose in his heart. He wasn't the biggest, fastest, or flashiest player on the field, but from an early age, he had something special, an instinct for baseball. He understood timing, patience, and rhythm in a way that couldn't be taught. From youth leagues to amateur tournaments, Kirk's game was built around simplicity and awareness. He didn't try to overpower pitchers. He outsmarted them. He didn't chase big moments. He let the game come to him. Scouts tend to fall in love with measurables: height, arm strength, speed. But what Kirk possessed couldn't be measured with a radar gun or stopwatch. He had feel, and that feel would one day become his defining trait. In 2016, when the Toronto Blue Jays discovered Kirk, they saw what few others did. He wasn't the prototype, standing just 5'8" with a stocky build, but there was something undeniably special about his approach at the plate. His hand-eye coordination was elite, his plate discipline exceptional, and his swing was pure, compact, and efficient. The Blue Jays took a chance on the young Mexican catcher, signing him as an international free agent. What looked like a minor move at the time would evolve into one of the most underrated acquisitions in the team's modern history. Once in the organization, Kirk immediately began turning heads. He moved methodically through the minor leagues, showing a hitting maturity that stunned coaches and teammates alike. In an era where strikeouts were climbing and plate discipline was fading, Kirk stood out for his almost surgical approach to hitting. He rarely swung at bad pitches. He understood the strike zone better than most veterans. His contact was loud, his at-bats methodical. Pitchers couldn't fool him easily, and when they did, he adjusted. That adaptability was what made him so dangerous. He wasn't just reacting to baseball, he was studying it. But it wasn't only his bat that impressed. As a catcher, Kirk began to refine the subtleties of his defensive game. His footwork behind the plate became sharper, his framing mechanics smoother, and his game-calling instincts increasingly advanced. The very build that some scouts questioned actually became an advantage, allowing him to sit low, stay stable, and block pitches with incredible consistency. He wasn't just catching the ball, he was controlling the rhythm of the game. By the time the 2020 season rolled around, a year defined by uncertainty and a global pandemic, Kirk's steady rise reached a new level. With the baseball world turned upside down, he got his first major league call-up. He was 21 years old, and the moment could have easily overwhelmed him. But true to form, he handled it with calm and focus. In just 9 games, he showed a level of maturity far beyond his years. He hit .375, logged his first home run, and made an instant impression on Blue Jays fans and coaches alike. It was clear Alejandro Kirk wasn't a fluke. He was built for this stage. His next seasons brought growth and challenges. In 2021, he split time between the majors and minors as he refined his game. Injuries tested him, and competition within the roster forced him to stay sharp. But rather than be discouraged, Kirk used every challenge as motivation. He studied his craft, working tirelessly on pitch framing, throwing accuracy, and maintaining stamina across long seasons. The effort paid off. By 2022, he had transformed from a talented young catcher into a full-fledged star. That year, Kirk's brilliance came alive. He became one of the Blue Jays' most consistent offensive weapons and one of the best hitting catchers in the league. His batting average hovered near the top among American League catchers, and his on-base percentage reflected a hitter who rarely gave away an at-bat. His swing, short, direct, efficient, looked like something straight out of a baseball manual. He didn't swing for the fences, but he drove the ball with precision, peppering all fields with line drives. Opposing pitchers learned quickly that you couldn't fool Kirk easily. He read spin, adjusted to movement, and punished mistakes. By mid-season, he was named an All-Star, becoming one of the youngest catchers to represent the Blue Jays in the Midsummer Classic. His presence there wasn't a token nod, it was earned. His performance also earned him a Silver Slugger award, recognizing him as the premier offensive catcher in the American League. For a player once labeled too small, too slow, or too unorthodox, the achievement was poetic. Kirk had rewritten the scouting report, not by changing himself, but by perfecting who he already was. What made his success even more impressive was the way he balanced it with his defensive responsibilities. Catching is one of the toughest positions in sports, physically grueling and mentally exhausting. You're responsible for game calling, pitcher confidence, and in-game adjustments. Yet Kirk handled it all with his trademark composure. His rapport with pitchers like Alek Manoah and Kevin Gausman grew into one of the most reliable partnerships in the league. His ability to frame pitches and steal strikes at the bottom of the zone became an asset Toronto leaned on heavily. Off the field, Kirk remains grounded, humble, and deeply connected to his roots. Despite his growing fame, he never strays from the values that shaped him. He carries the pride of Mexican baseball everywhere he goes, a quiet representative of his country's deep baseball heritage. In every interview, he credits his family, his upbringing, and the people of Tijuana who supported him from day one. For fans in Mexico, Kirk has become more than a player. He's a symbol, proof that heart and intelligence can carry you as far as power and speed ever could. As he continues to evolve, what makes Alejandro Kirk so special is that he never tries to be anyone else. He doesn't chase trends or try to mimic other players. He understands that his greatest strength lies in his authenticity. He knows his game, knows his role, and embraces it with quiet confidence. He represents a type of player that baseball will always need, the craftsman, the thinker, the steady hand who anchors a lineup not with flash, but with fundamentals. There's a calmness in the way Kirk plays that feels timeless. He's a reminder of what baseball has always been about, the battle of patience, the power of precision, and the beauty of simplicity. While others chase velocity or headlines, Kirk focuses on what's within his control, his swing, his preparation, his connection with his pitchers. And that focus is why, despite his understated demeanor, he stands tall among baseball's rising stars. In many ways, Kirk's story is just beginning. At 26, he has already accomplished what most players dream of, but his ceiling remains high. The Blue Jays see in him not just a talented catcher, but a leader, someone who can shape the culture of the clubhouse for years to come. His consistency behind the plate and at the plate gives Toronto something every great team needs: reliability. When you watch Alejandro Kirk play, you're watching a master of the small things, the subtle movements, the mental calculations, the quiet confidence of someone who knows exactly who he is. His journey from the fields of Tijuana to the bright lights of Toronto isn't just a sports story. It's a lesson in perseverance, authenticity, and staying true to your craft no matter how the world measures you. So here's to Alejandro Kirk, the catcher who doesn't need noise to make an impact, who plays the game the right way, and who reminds us all that sometimes the most powerful statement is made in silence. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this long-form tribute to Alejandro Kirk, a player who embodies focus, humility, and pure baseball intelligence, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more stories celebrating the athletes who turn quiet effort into lasting greatness.